Lord, welcome.
Hello, it's Jim. Welcome back again to the Green Room. This might be our last Green Room online because we're going to be starting next term, hopefully having kids' church together at church. Now, but we will do today, and we're going to keep going with our story of Joseph. Remember last week he had all those adventures? He's going to have more adventures in today's story. So the story's from the Bible. I've got my box again, and there's something in there that I'll show you very, very soon. But first, let's say hello to each other, singing our hello song. Everyone up.
Clap your hands, everyone together. Stamp your feet, turn around, reach up high and bend down low. It's good to see you, hello. It's good to see you, hello. Hello everyone, are you ready to clap? Here we go. Clap your hands, everyone together. Stamp your feet, stamp, stamp, stamp. Turn around, whee! Reach up high,
Stretch up now.
and bend down low.
And down to your toes.
We're friends of Jesus, hello. We're friends of Jesus, hello. We're friends of Jesus, hello.
All right, I hope you're ready to have a look in the box. Let's see what I've got today. Okay. It's a plant. It's actually a chili plant. And my dad gave it to me. He grew it, and I think he grew it from a seed. And now it's big enough for me to look after, but do you think I'm doing a very good job of looking after it? The soil's a bit dry, isn't it? This is a little weed I've got growing in here too. I think some insects might have eaten some of the leaves. I think I probably could do a better job of looking after this plant. See, there might be something in here to help me. The other thing that I've got in my box, some water. Because we know that plants need water and sunshine. So give him some water. Be much better. The other thing I can do is pull out this little weed, so it can just be the plant in there all by himself. And maybe when I get home, I can plant him out. I can dig a hole in the ground and put it into the garden, because then he won't get dried out so easily as he does in that pot sitting in the sun. Now, in today's story, there's going to be someone who looks after something. Joseph's going to be looking after something. Let's see how he goes.
This is a true story from God's book, the Bible. Now, it's about Joseph in Egypt. Remember last week, Joseph's dad gave him a special coat? His brothers were jealous of Joseph. They really didn't like him. They were thinking about killing him, but they threw him into a hole instead, and then sold him to some traders who were travelling to Egypt. When they got to Egypt, the traders sold Joseph to Potiphar. Potiphar was an important man, and Joseph was working for him. God was with Joseph and helping him, and Potiphar could see that God was with Joseph. Joseph did such a good job in his work for Potiphar, with God helping him, that Potiphar wanted Joseph to look after his house and all of his things. It was an important job. Joseph always did what God wanted him to, but Potiphar's wife told lies about Joseph, and he was put in prison. Prisons are supposed to be for people who do wrong things, but Joseph hadn't done anything wrong. But God was with Joseph, and so everything Joseph did turned out well. When he was in prison, Joseph was given an important job. He was put in charge of the prisoners, the people in prison, which means that Joseph had to look after the prisoners. And God helped Joseph. 2 years later, that's quite a long time later, Pharaoh the king had a dream. Because God was with Joseph, he could tell the king what his dream meant. Joseph was able to say what God was about to do. He told him that for 7 years there would be lots of food, and then for the next 7 years there would be no food. This was called a famine. Pharaoh the king asked Joseph what to do, and Joseph told him. God was with Joseph, and the king gave Joseph an important job. The king made Joseph in charge of his palace. Joseph was to look after the king's palace for him, and the king also made Joseph in charge of the whole land of Egypt. The king wanted Joseph to store up food for the whole of Egypt, so that when there was no food growing anywhere, they wouldn't be hungry. So Joseph had to look after everyone in Egypt. You know, Joseph was in a lot of different places, but God was with him everywhere. God was with Joseph while he was working at Potiphar's house. God was with Joseph when he was in prison. God was with Joseph when he was in charge of the palace. And God was with Joseph when he was in charge of Egypt. Joseph had important jobs looking after so many things, but Joseph could only do that because he had someone looking after him, and that someone was God. God was with Joseph, and he looked after Joseph. We're going to pray now. Let's do an echo prayer. So I'll say one line and then you repeat it. You can do it in your head or out loud. Dear God, thank you for looking after Joseph in everything he did and everywhere he went. Thank you that you look after us too. Amen. Now today I thought we could do a song that we have done before. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. Do you remember that one? My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. The mountains are his. Make some mountains with our hands. The valleys are his. So put your arms down. The stars are his handiwork too. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. Now see if you can do those actions with the real version of the song. Let's go.
My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. That's true. My God is so big, so so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. That's true. The mountains are his, the valleys are his, the stars are his handiwork too. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. That's true. Let's sing it again, shall we? My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. That's true. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. That's true. The mountains are his, the valleys are his, the stars are his handiwork too. My God is so big. I'm all right. So strong and so mighty, there's nothing my God cannot do. That's true.
We have another card to add to our People in the Bible chart today. So far in Genesis, we learned about how God made everything. Then we looked at Adam and Eve. Then we learned about Noah and his ark that God rescued him in the flood. Then we learned about the Tower of Babel. We looked at Abraham and how he and Sarah had baby Isaac. And then we looked at Isaac grown up with his boys Esau and Jacob. And then we're learning about how Jacob, when he grew up, he had 12 sons. And one of those sons is who we're adding to the People in the Bible chart today, Joseph. And here's Joseph wearing his fancy Egyptian clothes with a pyramid to help us remember that he went to Egypt. Let's put it up. There's a lot there now, isn't there?
Now we have the cool cartoon version of our story. Remember that Israel's just another name for Joseph's dad, Jacob. Enjoy.
Stories of the Bible. Joseph in Egypt. This is Joseph, who was the son of Israel and Rachel. He was his father's favorite, so his brothers hated him and sold him into slavery. You see, Joseph was taken to Egypt, and Potiphar, one of the Pharaoh's officials, bought him for his household. God was with Joseph, and he did well in Potiphar's house. Potiphar saw that God made everything Joseph did a success. So he put Joseph in charge of his whole house. And God blessed Potiphar's house because of this. Potiphar's wife saw how well Joseph was doing in the house, and she wanted to make him do bad things. Joseph ran away from her because he wanted nothing to do with someone who would try to make him do the wrong thing. This made Potiphar's wife angry, and she wanted to be rid of Joseph. So she lied and made Potiphar believe that Joseph had done the bad things that she wanted him to do. Potiphar burned with anger against Joseph and sent him to prison. While Joseph was in prison, again, he did well, and the warden soon made him responsible for all that was done there. God was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. When 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh was having unsettling dreams. Pharaoh did not understand his dreams, so he sent for Joseph.
Hey.
Pharaoh asked Joseph to tell him the meaning of his dreams. With God's help, Joseph told Pharaoh that the dreams told of what could come in the future, and he explained all the dreams to the Pharaoh. Pharaoh believed that what Joseph was saying was true. He trusted Joseph as a wise man, and he put him in charge of the land of Egypt, of Pharaoh's palace, and of all his people.
Oh, good, it's time for some craft. This first craft is to remind us that God was with Joseph. So, to do this craft, we need a piece of paper, a pencil and some colouring in things, and a pair of scissors too. Take your piece of paper and fold it in half in lengthwise, so the long way, and then fold over the bottom so it's about halfway over the rest of the piece of paper. Then turn over the whole thing with the fold down the bottom, and we're going to draw Joseph. So we're going to draw curves on the top of the paper because that's the top of his head, and we're going to draw his big Egyptian headdress, and it kind of has lots of stripes on it, so let's draw lots of stripes around that. He needs a circle for a head and just a line across for his body, some eyes and a mouth, and then you can colour it in. Now he's coloured in, get out your scissors and just cut off those curves on the top of his head. That'll do nicely. Now we're going to do one more cut, and that's just that fold line and stop at the bottom of his body. And what that does is it enables Joseph to stand up. And you can see there's someone with Joseph. He's not by himself. We can't see what he's like because God doesn't have a body. Our next craft idea is to make us spot the difference. And on one side we're going to be drawing Egypt in the 7 years of plenty, and on the other side we're going to draw Egypt in the 7 years of famine, when there wasn't much food. So you need a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, and on each side we're going to draw the background, which is going to be the same on both sides. So I've got a horizon and a pyramid. I'm going to put in a tree, a garden, and some bowls ready to put things in. And then we're going to start doing the things that are different next. So in the garden, we'll put the rows first, so I'm just putting 3 lines on each of my gardens. In the picture that is for the time of plenty, I'll put lots of fruit on my tree and then fruit in a bowl. And in my garden, no fruit on the tree when there's the famine. And I'll put maybe some cabbages or lettuce or something in my garden there, some carrots growing, and maybe some wheat growing in my garden too. Yum, yum, yum. Lots of things growing because it's very, very productive, the land in the year of plenty. And some carrots in the bowl. But in the years of famine, I've just got some withered old little sticks in my garden. Didn't grow very well then, did it? And nothing in my bowls. In the year of plenty, I'll put lots of wheat in that bowl. maybe you could give it to someone and see if they could find all the things that are different between the two pictures. Remember how Joseph collected up all the food in the years of plenty, ready for the years of famine? Well, we're going to collect up some things and put them into a jar, and we're going to make a guessing game so people can guess how many things you've put into the jar. To do this craft, you'll need a little jar, or any little container really is fine, as long as you can see into it somehow, and something to put in the jar. So I've got dried chickpeas, dried beans, or lentils, or even rice would be fine, although if it's smaller it's a bit harder to count them. And also you'll need something to put them in while you're counting them, maybe like a plate. So get your chickpeas or beans or lentils and work out how many you're going to do. Count them and then count them again. Make sure you know how many there are, and then you can put the ones that you've counted into the jar. And then it's time to take it around the house and get someone to guess how many they think are in there, and then you'll be able to tell them if they're right. It would be great if you can take pictures of the craft that you do and put it on our WhatsApp group so that we can all see. I really like getting to see what you're doing at home. If you're not in our WhatsApp group, send an email. I'd love to see what you've done. Well, thank you very much for joining me in the green room today. It was so good to have you here again. Hopefully we'll see each other in real life soon. But until then, hope you enjoy this week with God and having Him help you to take care of the things that you need to take care of. It's good that God looks after us. He looked after Joseph, and He certainly looks after us too. See you soon.